What is up, everyone? Brandon First, aka First Report, representing the First Off the Bench Podcast Network. Everyone comes off the bench, but we are first. Welcome into another edition of the Changeup here on the network, breaking down the American and National League Championship Series with my co-host, as always, Bryanna Winner. You can find Bryanna at bwinner12. Bryanna, how you doing today?
I want to go back to bed. I am mentally and physically exhausted, but I'm excited for the football game I get to cover tomorrow.
Yeah, rivalry week out there in Nebraska for Bryanna. I'm sure most parents and high school athletes, or at least football players, dealing with that. Playoffs coming up as well. But for the baseball side of things, obviously both myself and Bryanna, it's been a good week as Dodger haters. If it wasn't for a ill-timed Cody Bellinger home run, we'd be talking about a sweep from the Braves. We'll get to that. And of course, we will get to the American League Championship Series as well. But before we get there, we had some news coming down from Major League Baseball concerning the minor leaguers and something that, I think both of us, we've talked about it before, but we both agree this is well-deserved and probably too late for this to happen, but it's getting done. So, you take it, as you can. But minor leaguers now, or at least the major league teams, are now responsible for housing their minor league players, which is, I think, a great step in the right direction. Too many times we've heard some stories of, minor leaguers having to literally sleep in their van or sleep in their car during the season and still try to chase their dream of being a Major League Baseball player. But Bryanna, what are your thoughts? Obviously, Major League Baseball finally kind of doing what's right when it comes to minor leaguers and forcing the big league billion-dollar clubs to give these guys somewhere to stay.
Well, I feel like it's the same situation as what happened in December with the Negro Leagues when they finally recognized them. I mean, they were slightly doing it, but it wasn't like full force until December. And like we said last time, I'm going to say it this time, you should have done this a long time ago. Look, you don't pay your major leaguers enough in the first place. And they struggle during the season for food and housing based on the salary that you give them. So about dang time.
Yeah. And minor leaguers, in that case, it was a situation. Like I said, this is a step in the right direction. I think there are definitely more things that need to be done. I remember last year, when the season, shortened season was announced, and obviously it then came out that there would be no minor league season. I believe David Price actually was the first one to kind of step up and pay for, I mean, I don't know if it was everyone or a high majority of the Dodgers minor leaguers. And that was before he had even played a game for the Dodgers. And then I believe the Dodgers as an organization then came out and said, no, actually, we'll do it. It kind of took David Price to do that. Other major league teams did follow suit as well, doing the right thing. Once again, this is definitely a step in the right direction. I think as you kind of brought up the catering situation, or bring in catering, or some sort of, way too many times we hear about, McDonald's and peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, which are perfectly fine. Don't get me wrong. I'm not bashing the peanut butter and jelly sandwich. But if you are trying to be a major leaguer, maybe something a little more, efficient would be needed, especially from these franchises that are making money hand over fist. A lot of times, at kind of a lot of these minor leaguers come up and for 3 or 4 years are really good, and unless that team negotiates with them, they're still getting paid the minimum, which is still a lot of money, don't get me wrong, but for the minor leaguers down there, not a ton of money. They get an opportunity to be housed and something to kind of take their mind off things. They know that when they come back home, they're going to they're going to have somewhere to stay. And that's the key, somewhere to believe that, hey, we don't have to worry about whether or not, I'm sleeping in a car or a van or on buddy's couch or an air mattress one way or another. But moving on to the National League Championship Series. Obviously, we are recording here on a Wednesday, October 21st. It's a bit of, I'm not going to say tense, but one of those times where, if you're a Braves fan, or a Dodger fan, I think there's equal amounts of tension on both sides. If you're a Braves fan, yes, you're happy they're up 3-1, but at the same time, yes, you've seen this movie before, and it was only last year that you saw it, and we all know how that ended. If you're a Dodger fan, you're obviously nervous because, look, your season is going to be on the line for the at least next 3 games, if they even get that far. Obviously, if you've been listening, you know where this podcast lands on what we want to see. But Bryanna, what have you seen so far early on? Obviously, the Braves at this moment up 3-1 in the series. Bryanna, what are your thoughts so far on what we've seen in the National League Championship Series?
Well, I've only been able to see scores as it's going. I haven't been able to actually watch it. But again, I would really love for the Braves to win this. I don't need to see the Dodgers winning another one. I don't need all my Dodgers friends and family like going off. Please, Braves, I am begging you, just finish this out like tonight. Please. You can do it. The Dodgers are tired. They have no energy left. If you let them beat you these next 3 games, you have some real reevaluation to deal with.
Well, and I mean, the whole city of Atlanta, right? You know, we go back to the 28-3 Super Bowl. And yes, Atlanta fans, sorry I brought that up, but you have to. And then obviously last year, the Braves being up 3-1 on the Dodgers, being unable to close them out. And I'll bring up the old Braves. I mean, the 90s Braves that won 13 or 14 division championships, but could only win 1 World Series. I mean, that's kind of, with that pitching staff, to only win 1 World Series, that's kind of a choke job in itself as well. And I say that as, once again, one of my best friends being a Braves fan. Very, very, very excited for him. But once again, like I said, you're not quite sure what's going to go on from here on out, because of what we've seen. Now, for the Dodgers, I believe that the Dave Roberts kind of juggling of starting a reliever and then turning it into a bullpen game, or using Urias in the as a reliever here and there. It finally caught up to him, I think, in the last game, and Urias didn't look right. He got hit pretty hard, pretty much from the start. That entire Dodger bullpen got hit pretty hard, all the way down to Tony Gonsolin when Eddie Rosario hit the big 3-run homer to put the game well out of reach. I believe it was 9-2 last night. The Braves are a team that can really swing the bat when they're ready for, and to be without Ronald Acuna Jr. for as long as they have, and bring in the players that they have, and are now 1 win away from a World Series appearance. Absolutely incredible. However, they have, 1 in LA tonight. And then unfortunately, if the Dodgers would win that one, you got to go back to Atlanta, where it's going to be rocking, no doubt about it. But I think, I don't want to call it panic, but there will be some doubts that creep in for the Braves if they do not get it done tonight. It's going to be an electric atmosphere. I think it will be very tense at Dodger Stadium. So we obviously, last week, both of us made the pick. We expected the Dodgers, unfortunately, to win the series, or that was our pick. Bryanna, I'll give you the option now to change that. No questions asked, because I'll do the same if that's possible for myself. But Bryanna, what do you think? Do you think the Braves close them out, or do the Dodgers win these next 3 games and add to the kind of pantheon of sports despair for the city of Atlanta?
I know what I want to see.
But what do you think?
I think it's going to go a few more games.
Yep.
And I still think the same as I did before.
Wow, yeah. And even when the Dodgers were up the Braves were up 2-0, you had texted me, I'm not going to repeat what you said, but essentially, don't mess this up, Atlanta. And I think I texted back, unfortunately, I expect the Dodgers to win the next 4 games. And now obviously that hasn't been the case, but in my mind, until the final out is recorded and the Dodgers are dead, they're Michael Myers. They're a serial killer in a horror movie. Until the final credits roll, you can't think that it's over. And that's what it is with the Dodgers. This is a team, we saw it in game 3, that was down. I mean, you saw the highlights, everyone leaving Dodger Stadium, the fans in despair. And then next thing you know, Cody Bellinger has hit a 3-run bomb, and then Mookie Betts is driving in the winning run, and the place is jumping again. So until that final out is recorded on the Dodgers, I'm going to expect the Dodgers to win. Now, once again, if they don't, fantastic as well. I would never have been so happy to be wrong in my life. But like I said, at the same time, I'm looking at what is out there. And once again, until this team is fully extinguished and vanquished, I don't think it can be that you can turn the page on these guys. So it's going to be very interesting. Obviously, tonight is very, very important for both teams. As much as Atlanta loves to play in front of their home fans, I don't think they want to until the World Series rolls around. It's going to be very, very interesting. And we move on now to the other championship series. Obviously, the Houston Astros against the world. Essentially, they are the public enemy number 1 in baseball, and they are up 3-2 in the series. They have an off day as we speak today on Thursday. They will do game 6 in Houston tomorrow. The Red Sox season on the line. Bryanna, obviously, we know where your allegiance lies in this series, or more of who you want to see lose. But so far, have you seen anything that makes you think that, you know what, the Astros are going to win it after all?
I really hope not. I mean, they haven't even decided on who their pitcher is for tomorrow yet. Meanwhile, the Red Sox have already picked Eovaldi. So I'm hoping that the Red Sox could tie this up. I don't know if it's going to happen. This entire series is a toss-up based on how it's been going. But Red Sox Nation, please pull this out. All of America will love you if you can pull this out. We don't need to see Houston trying to go for another World Series. Yeah.
Now, once again, I've made it pretty clear I hate the Astros, but I have a bet at 9.5 to 1 for them to win the American League pennant. So I am begrudgingly rooting for the Astros for my bank account more than my morals. It is what it is. Judge me if you'd like. But it's hard in these streets. Anyways, you gotta do what you gotta do. In the Astros, it's been a very interesting series. Obviously, game 1, we saw Carlos Correa hit a huge home run to put the Astros ahead. And he did the points to his watch and said, it's my time. And then the next 2 games, the Red Sox dominate to the point, obviously, game 2, we see grand slams in the first and second innings. I mean, you blink and it's 8-0 Boston. And then game 3, the Red Sox do the same. They get to the Astros starting pitching and wore them out. It was very, very interesting, though, to see. I think it was Eduardo Rodriguez for the Astros do the after he struck out Correa, kind of points at his watch and kind of mocks that celebration. Alex Cora getting very upset and being mad, and I can't stand that. Like, look, we all know you have friends on the Astros. We understand that, but you're the manager of the Boston Red Sox now. If one of your players wants to call somebody out or after he strikes somebody out, if you don't like it, take him into the tunnel and tell him that. You don't need to show everybody on national TV that you didn't like it because maybe your buddy got struck out and you wish you were there in Houston. So Alex Cora, I think that was a bad look. I will say, though, Carlos Correa is a heel and a bad guy, but I loved what he said. He when they asked him about his celebration being mocked, he said, personally, I love it. It's a situation where that's what he wants to see in baseball. Carlos Correa can dish it. He can also take it as well, whether you like him or not. It is what it is. He fired back in the last 2 games, however, just like the whole Astros have. Jose Altuve really got off to a struggle in the first 3 or 4 games, broke out huge in game 5. The Astros lead 3-2. Bryanna, I'll give you the option once again. We know what you want to see. You did pick the Red Sox, I believe, last week. Do you want to change that? Or are you gonna ride with the Red Sox all the way through, winning the next 2 games in Houston?
I'm gonna ride with the Red Sox mostly because of the Houston pitching.
Yeah, it's a good point because that bullpen has been extinguished fully. It took 8 innings from Framber Valdez for them to at least catch their breath. We'll see how that goes. And it's going to be, like you said, Eovaldi's already set, ready to roll. Houston, they may have an idea, but it's definitely not official yet who's going to go. So a lot up in the air there. Could possibly be looking at a game 7 there. I do want to just give you an update. Obviously, Max Fried will go for the Braves today. But we're still waiting on the Dodgers decision. I meant to bring that up in the NLCS situation, but so we're still waiting on the Dodgers pitcher there as we are just about 6 hours away from game time. But going back to the Astros and Red Sox, for myself, I obviously picked the Astros to win this series at the beginning. I've been a big fan of what I've seen from the Astros this year. I don't like the cheating situation, but it is what it is. Baseball is a game of inches, and this series has been a big part of it. The one thing I will say that we've seen throughout the playoffs, and it's been a huge story for myself and plenty of teams, plenty of frustration, is the umpires. I don't know if they're kind of just saying, you know what, let's advocate for robot umpires without actually advocating for robot umpires. Because watching this postseason, I don't know how you could sit here and say that, yes, we need to keep Laz Diaz behind home plate. We need to keep these certain first base umpires out there. It's been really bad. I even go back to game 3 of the NLCS. I firmly believe that before the Cody Bellinger home run, I forget who was batting before him, but he ended up walking. But I believe that was a fair ball that Austin Riley picked up, threw over to first. He was out. They called it a foul ball. I disagree with that. We saw the check swing that, we all heard around the world. And it was the one that finally cost the Giants their season. And that wasn't even close to being a check swing. And all these things, they hide behind the fact of, oh, it's not reviewable. Why is it not reviewable? If the review is if you were able to look at something again, do it. I mean, we even saw back in the Milwaukee-Atlanta series, a ball that was clearly not caught out of in foul territory that ended up, they said, oh yeah, he caught it. And then they asked, oh, well, it's not reviewable because it's a judgment call. Everything in baseball umpiring is a judgment call. Doesn't make any sense. And once again, we started this pod off by, acknowledging somewhat what Major League Baseball did correctly. And Bryanna, I think that was a fantastic parallel you brought up with the Negro League, because it's like, yeah, you want a cookie for, showing up to class, an hour and a half late. This should have been done a long time ago. And you're patting yourselves on the back for something that we all acknowledged. We all knew that the Negro Leagues were a major league, and it's 2020 when it happened, but then Major League finally went, okay, fine, we'll do it now. And, everyone look at how great we are. That's Major League Baseball in a nutshell. Once again, the umpiring right now has been, as bad as it gets. And I'd love to say, oh, I hope it isn't going to cost the team a game. But I think we all expect it to, because we've seen it so many times already, and we're not even into the World Series. So I just had to get on my soapbox and call that out, because the umpiring has just been nothing short of trash. And we're going to be, like I said, looking at robot umpires in a different view this offseason. I will say one other thing. There's a storm on the horizon. We're going to enjoy these next 3 weeks, but a labor stoppage is, I don't want to say imminent, but from a lot of people that I've heard talk about the inner workings of owners versus players union, I don't think we're seeing 162 games of baseball next year. So I just want everyone to enjoy the next 2 weeks, the next 3 weeks of baseball, knowing that there is a big question mark over the 2022 season. Just want to make everyone aware that I'm aware of it. Didn't want to fully bring everyone down. But that will be my final thought for, as we look ahead. Brandon, The pessimist over here has got to bring everybody down from a great podcast, but at the same time, don't want anybody to take for granted. Now, as much as we don't want to see the Dodgers come back, we want to see as much baseball as possible. So that, if the Braves can guarantee they'll win in 7, that would be ideal, but we can't be guaranteed of that, of course. But Bryanna,
we could be guaranteed that the Red Sox Houston game is going to go 7.
I think that's a very, very solid guarantee. I think we do see 7 there, and I hate to say it, I do think we are going to see 7 in Atlanta and LA, but hopefully I'm wrong on that one once again. But Bryanna, final thoughts for another episode of the Changeup as we get ready to whittle it down to the World Series.
Do you think that there is actually going to be any games played next season based on what you've heard?
I do. At the end of the day, it's, for me, I could see it very similar to, I think it was the NBA back, 10 years ago. They started in January. And now obviously that's not where baseball starts, but essentially they cut the first three months off or 2 months off for that. I don't think we see 162 games. I think we see something closer to the 60 games, maybe. If we could get 100, I'd be happy. At the end of the day, it's going to be a lot of posturing in the negotiation. It's millionaires and billionaires fighting over thousands of dollars, which it's akin to us fighting over dimes, which, I'm not, putting anybody down if you fight over dimes. It is what it is, but that's what it is for, at least for me. If somebody, hey, that's my dime, I'm not going to fight you on that. But these millionaires and billionaires are literally fighting over, hundreds and thousands of dollars. I mean, they pay their nannies tips higher than what these negotiations are going to be about. So I think at the end of the day, they're going to know that, hey, we need to make money. And eventually push will come to shove and they'll get something going. It would be a nightmare if we don't see any baseball next year. It was one thing last year for us to have only 60 games because it was COVID, obviously somewhat out of their control. No baseball next year because these guys can't figure out the financials would be an absolute nightmare. But I do think we will see baseball. I don't think it will be 162 games, however. But that is all. Is that all we got for that all you got, Bryanna?
Perfect. Yep, that's it.
All right. Well, thank you all so much for listening to this edition of the Changeup presented by the First Off the Bench Podcast Network. Everyone comes off the bench, but we are first. It is time for you all to go wash your hands and stop hating everybody. We'll talk to you all very soon. Enjoy the rest of the games. Go Braves. Get it done. Kill the Dodgers. Kill the Michael Myers of Major League Baseball and let Major League Baseball fans enjoy a season without those annoying Dodger fans, or at least a World Series. But thank you all again so much for listening. Have a great day. We'll talk to you soon.